Everyone, welcome once again to Vicious Chats. Tim Vicious with me today. She is a comedian. She's done work with the likes of Al Snow and such. Also a wrestling fan. Please give it up for Alydar Skyy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, those that are watching the video on this, they can obviously see we got a stock photo up on you. The camera decided to go and act three different kinds of stupid, unfortunately. So couldn't
Yeah,
get.
it's okay. Nobody wants to see my red face. I've been crying for like the whole weekend because Braun Strowman got released from WWE. I'm like trying to
Yeah.
recover.
Oh yeah. I'm. Oh yeah, and the IWC has been testing my patience over that course of that weekend because getting closer and closer to getting back to the old like vicious ways of on how I don't wanna. I try to be a nice man. Hence the point of this show. Try to make it a positive corner of the internet.
Yes, I applaud your new outlook. We'll say that.
Well, thank you. It's you spend most of your life angry, mean, vicious. Like you got to try and have a little happiness somewhere. Outside of wanting to go and hurt somebody that pisses you off. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Plus, like being angry isn't good for you. It'll give you wrinkles. It'll age you.
yeah. I don't know if you could see, but I'm already getting the gray lines in the beard.
But you're crushing it, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, as my son would ever so like to put it, he goes and says, "Hey, Dad, your beard's turning white." Yeah, son, it's all thanks to you.
Yes, kids do age you.
Yeah, yeah. Although now it's funny because he's a teenager, and now he looks at me and is like, "Hey, how do we how would I go about shaving my head?" And it's just like the most random things he'll ask me. And it's just like I would have thought that stuff at his age, but I never would have thought of asking.
It's so funny because I feel that way towards like some of the younger girls that they're very much into skincare and makeup now, much younger than I was. And I think like social media has a little bit to do with it. But I'm like, why do you care about how many steps my skincare routine is? I look 50 and I'm only 35. Like, I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, what's it? My niece and my nephew's daughter, my great niece, they'll go and like they see me. Next thing you know, they'll go and pick like a bunch of the dandelions out of the lawn and be like, Uncle Tim, you need to make yourself look pretty and stuff my beard with full of flowers.
That's so
Like,
sweet.
yeah, so yeah, then I got to walk around all day like that. Yeah, the weirdest things like that with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what made like when you got into wrestling originally? What initially got you into it?
I'm a millennial and I definitely grew up watching the Attitude Era. I was a very young child and I saw China on TV and I was like, wow, this girl looks awesome. I want to be her. And so just having very fun, crazy looking people at such a young age, I'm like, wow, I could really do something like that. Like, look how cool she is and she's better than all the guys. Like, just kind of, I don't know, she inspired me to watch wrestling, and then she kind of really shaped the woman who I am today. Like, I am a woman in a male dominated industry with comedy, and I just continue that like vibe of girl power and I bring it with me everywhere. So yes.
Have you tried? Did you ever try going and doing like the China big muscled intimidation thing on anyone?
um yes and no. I think because like, as a girl, I was definitely a tomboy when I was little. And I think just having a girl being able to do boy stuff at the time, it wasn't as common as it is today. So I think that alone was kind of intimidating for some boys, but now women are everywhere in different fields like that. But I also was like, as a kid, girls are typically always taller than boys at first to begin with, so I was already physically bigger than most kids. So they knew they couldn't fuck with me.
Yeah, well, that's always a good thing to know. Like, do you ever so th- so outside of do you ever see anything outside of WWE wise, or was that just like your main go-to?
At the time, like it was like, the Monday Night Wars, don't forget too. So
Oh yeah.
very much into WWF, like ECW, WCW, Sunday Night Heat. Wow, Women of Wrestling was on TV. So like if
Yeah.
it had anything to do with people hitting other people with chairs and ladders, tables, ladders, and chairs was like that TLC.
Yeah.
100%. Anything that had involved with hitting people, I was like, let's do it. That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned ECW and WoW because I grew up in South Philly and the ECW arena was like 3 or 4 blocks from my house. So I would go and catch them on a regular.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like I was only on TV like twice actually, but my regular seat was like right at the guardrail as they were coming down the aisle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but outside of that, also, I would watch the women of wrestling and like glow stuff. And I made my parents' jaw hit the floor when I re-debuted. And I was like, no, 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 I recognize her. She was on Glow. What?
Yep.
Like, yeah, nobody put two and two together that she was until then.
I just remember like Patty Pizzazz like hitting people with like, oh my gosh. I can't think of the character right now, but she like would always wear makeup and she would do her makeup on stage. And then Patty Pizzazz took her like makeup mirror and smashed it over her head. It was so cool. I was
Oh,
like, that was such a time to be alive.
this is gonna drive me nuts all day now because now I'm gonna sit there rattling around in my head trying to figure it out. My brain is weird, is like a weird Rolodex with full of TV and movie stuff like that. Like I
That's
can recall
awesome.
it. I just like now I'm gonna be spending all day trying to figure out what show, like the episode and everything that led to that. Like, ah,
Well, that's a fun little project for you. And then when you find it, come back to me and then we could maybe do a reaction video or something like that.
no, well, yeah, definitely. Definitely, well, I'm trying to work on other, outside of this, I do got other video projects I work with. I do the Friday night karaoke party. I do it's that the hour right before SmackDown. Always say the most fun you can have the hour right before SmackDown. I put
Yeah.
out I do my own little weird comedy shorts I drop every Monday and Thursday just for some laughs. And, my son actually made me do an unboxing video for the first time ever because I've been hounding Funko for what feels like years to make Ed, Ed, and Eddie Pops because I loved the cartoon when I was a kid. And now that they finally made them, I was like, no, I gotta. This grown up money being spent on grown up reasons. And the box came in. He looked at me. He was like, Dad, you got to make an unboxing video. You already make videos all the time.
Might as well.
Okay.
It's
So I was like,
amazing.
so I was
It's
like,
a,
wait, how do I? Okay, yeah. So I made it. I made it the other day. I don't know if it really clicked or got a whole lot of hits or not. I haven't checked the analytics on it. I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'll do it. If it works, it works. If not, okay.
fuck it. You're just a person enjoying their adult money, doing adult things. Like as you should. You should make videos of things that make you happy. And if that brings you joy, then if anybody doesn't find it great, then they could go suck it.
Yeah, if I had $1 every time I got sent to detention because I did a crotch chop.
I
How about
actually
you?
my I remember I want to say it was in like third grade. The principal had to call my parents to bring an additional shirt to school because I had a one of those get the F out shirts. Do you remember
Oh,
those shirts? It was like
yeah.
get the F out.
I
Yeah.
got I got sent home from school when I was in 7th grade because I had the Stone Cold Other Side Jackass shirt.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and I would go in there and they'd be like, "You can't wear that in here. Why? A jackass is a mule." Yeah,
Yeah, I have kids and they've worn like the Seth freaking Rollins shirt. And so far nobody has said anything about it. So
yeah,
maybe people have just lightened up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like we're walking around wearing shirts with the middle finger walking around anymore. So maybe that might be it.
I mean, speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have nothing wrong on this one. This is just my own. This is my own piece of merch. I'm nothing if not a shameless self promoter.
I no, I love it. Copy
Yeah,
the link, guys. Buy his
yeah,
merch.
yes, please, please. The funds help make this show get better. It's not like I'm
Yeah,
living high off the hog from it. I still
yeah.
have a 9 to 5.
Buy his stuff, or I'll queef on you. I don't know. I'm here to support you, boo boo, in whatever your dreams may be.
I'm at a loss for words right there. Now all I'm thinking is like the South Park Queef versus Fart fight.
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh
You think
man.
I won't? You think I won't watch me?
Well, hey, I do a lot of weightlifting and I'm on a high protein diet, so those could be considered that it could be considered toxic warfare.
Yeah. Buy his merch. Subscribe to my OnlyFans, everybody. Let's go. I'm just kidding. I don't have an OnlyFans, but if I did, still subscribe.
Well, I would have one, but I don't have the body for it. Hence why I just spend my free time making memes.
You don't need the body. Do you know there's so many people I know that make crazy amount of money on that website, and they are the most average looking people in the world, and they have the most interesting bodies. Like there's a whole like I don't know, I think the adult industry is fantastic because there's something for everybody. Like if you are into very 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 tall people, if you're into very very short people, like you know dwarfs, there is that. If you are into fat people, there's that. If you're into feet, there's that. Do not doubt yourself. I believe if you started OnlyFans, you would be successful. You could do something with your beard.
Hmm.
People are into beards. People
True.
have interesting fetishes about it. There's people like what they like, and if they find somebody that does what they like, they will throw stupid money at you.
True. And it's true. And the whole myth about millennial boys being groomed at a young age, it's true. We were groomed at a young age to have a thing for goth dummy mommies. We don't hide it. It's
And
true.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
funny because I did I want to say about a year ago, I did this roast show. Typically, like I love roast shows, don't get me wrong. And I enjoy um doing them to an extent. I just think like my comedy, I really don't like to make fun of people. I don't like you're there to laugh, and that's what I want to do. But and I wish I wasn't as naturally mean as I am. I'm trying to be a better person. But I did a roast show and I won. And I had this gentleman find me on Twitter after the show. He's like, "Hey, I was at this roast show that you were doing, and I thought you were super funny." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And then he asked me for my Venmo, and I was like, "Here's my Venmo." And then he sent me $500 and a request to start being mean for him. That was the quickest $500 I've ever made in an hour. I literally just sat there and I made fun of him. He just wanted to pay me just to be mean to him. So,
That,
boys, if you're interested in me just making you feel like crap, let me know. But
yeah,
so there is something out there for everybody.
that is a potential for like an OnlyFans, but for roasting.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good
And it would
idea.
be like
There's
good
my Shark
roast,
Tank
not like
idea.
your mom is so fat kind of stuff. It'd be like personal. Like I could hurt your feelings.
Yeah. So speaking on the comedy, how did you first get into it? Because I've had a couple buddies that do stand up and have done some comedy stuff, and they say, whether it was they just were naturally can make jokes, or they saw this movie or that movie, or got into this or that.
So my degree is in radio, TV broadcasting, and my first internship, I was working at WLS, and I was working for Mancow, very, very popular radio DJ, and he is not nice. I'll say that.
Oh no,
He
I've
had
heard his stuff. That dude can
Yeah,
go. That dude can go.
yeah, he's People like him, people hate him. It doesn't matter, right? But he's brilliant at what he does, and he's made a career out of it. And he had made a comment to me one day, and he's like, "You're really funny. You should try doing comedy." But the way that I took it, because it was man cow, I took it in a condescending, sarcastic tone. Like, I wrote this big piece for him in the morning, and he was like, "Yeah, funny. You're funny. You're funny. You should do comedy." And so I took it as like, oh, he probably liked it, but like that might have been something he was saying, like, "Hey, you suck." But he wound up using what I wrote later on that week, and I was like, "Oh, maybe there's some truth to it." He wound up getting released from WLS not too long after that, and then I was working at other radio stations, and then out of nowhere, like I went to a kid's birthday party with with my kids, and he was there, and he remembered me because it's kind of hard to forget somebody named Alydar. He's like, "Hey, you're fucking funny. Did you ever do stand up like I told you to?" And I like panicked. I didn't know what to say. And I'm like, I don't want to upset man cow. And I was like, yep, I do stand up. I do stand up all the time. And then he gave me his personal phone number. And he was like, let me know when your next show is. And I was like, shoot. Now I gotta actually start doing this. He actually has been super nice. He's been to some of my shows. My first show I did okay at, and he was like, it's like, yeah, I could tell you're new, but you're gonna get there one day. And so just like kind of like freaking out, not wanting to upset him is kind of made me, a comedian. But I've always loved writing. I like to write. I wrote, I'm a musician too, so I've always been writing music. But I've always written like funny music. I was writing parodies because Weird Al was there, like, and so I wanted to be. I always knew growing up I was going to be some type of entertainer, and I didn't know what avenue it was. And I thought I was gonna. I actually thought I was gonna be a professional singer for a long time, but it didn't work out for me, which is fine because I'm not even like a great singer. I'm okay, but I'm definitely a guitarist and a pianist.
Yeah, I was
But
just going to ask what
comedy,
instrument you play.
yeah, comedy has always been that, and it's always been the underlying thing that I've always had. I've always, comedy makes me happy. It's helped me deal with a lot of crazy things that have happened in my life. Like, there's this formula for comedy. It's like tragedy over time equals comedy. And it's helped me deal with a lot. And not to be cliche, like, oh, comedy saved my life, but it really has. It's pulled me out of like some dark, dark spots. And I love the fact that I'm able to do that with other people, because I talk a lot about my life, talk a lot about social commentary, and I talk about the true evil that kind of lingers within everybody, and how it's okay to have these weird thoughts and double standards and things like that. And it helps a lot of people kind of like fight their own demons and like kind of just be okay with certain things. And I love that I'm able to do that with people, because if having that, I think if I had like some type of role model in that sense, it would have, I don't know, made me be a more well-rounded person. I don't know. But yeah, I'm
Oh,
really glad that I'm able to help out people and laugh at the craziest situations that we go through.
that's awesome. That's awesome right there. I'm glad to hear on that. And, so I always ask anyone that I know that does comedy this, and those that know, but have you heard the Aristocrats, and do you got your own version on it?
Of course I've heard the Aristocrats. I actually I tried like doing my own kind of thing on it, but when it comes to like ranting like that, I have to make sure it's so in the moment for me.
Oh,
I would, and for that thing doesn't come natural to me. I wish it did. There's only one joke that I have where I'm ranting in that sense, and it comes off natural. But like the Aristocrats kind of formula, it doesn't come natural to me. And I don't know. I wish it did, because it's so brilliant, and it's so like what, and
yeah.
very left turn. And I think it is the perfect thing of storytelling in the most bizarre way. You're taking the audience on a roller coaster. I wish I'm able to perform that. but I can't, and I hate that about myself. And it's a skill that a lot of people work really hard at, but essentially at the end of the day, if that is something you cannot do, don't do it. It's the same thing I feel like with crowd work. It's an essential skill that we need to have as comics, but if you are not good at it, don't do it.
Yeah, I get that. And I only ask that because the only reason I know about that joke is they did a documentary on it back in like the 2000s, I think it was. And I heard
Yeah,
Bob Saget's version on it, and like my jaw dropped to the ground. Did you ever hear his version?
of course. Bob Saget is
Okay.
like a
So
blueprint of like being able to market yourself and then say the most outrageous shit ever. Yeah.
yes. So that I heard that and I was just like, "Oh my god." And I kind of just used that as a template to try and make my own. And the last time I said it to my brother and he looked at me with the straightest face. Tim, I swear to God, you ever try and say that kind of joke again, I'm going to take a knife and pluck your eye out with it. So it's that good, huh?
We love it. We love to see it.
Yeah. So, you know, ain't no better critic than family, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, getting told, hey, gonna pluck your eye out if you say that shit again. Okay, that's a good indicator for that joke. Maybe I should tone it down a hair. Yeah. Uh, what what were there any that you looked at to like kind of base a template off of, like in any kind of way? Like I know Comedy Central used to do a ton of stand-up shows back in the day.
You froze. I'm assuming you just asked me, is there somebody I want to like template off of?
Oh no! Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
It's okay. I was asking when you started stand up. Was there anyone that you kind of based your set that you took as like, okay, maybe I could try and work based off that kind of style?
Yeah, actually Chelsea Handler was probably one of my biggest influencers ever, like just as a comedian, the way that she writes, the way that she delivers, because at the end of the day, she's a storyteller, but all of her stories have everything to do with her life. And because she has such a built-in audience, she's able to take them and just like, hey, and then kind of continue to build and build and build. So because I want to be like essentially one of those comedians. Like I wish, I can't say I wish I could just do one liners like super quick, but I didn't want to be a gimmick, if you will, like if we're going to use wrestling terms. I wanted to be like the most authentic version of myself, and I think Chelsea Handler does such a good job doing that. Like there's no show, you know what I mean? She's just very her on stage, the way that she's talking to an audience. She doesn't talk at an audience. And I think that is just so, that's the reason why she has a career that she has. Like there's so many comedians that come and go that are gimmicks, and I didn't want to be that. So just kind of just watching her and her style is like, I don't want to do exactly what she does, but I want to be like that, and just be the most authentic version of myself as possible.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I mean, because obviously our generation, we grew up watching the show Seinfeld, but I would also watch Jerry Seinfeld stand up, and it'd just be
Mhm.
like, dude, pretty much sounds like on how my normal day to day would go. So,
Yeah.
if his stuff was on, my ass was glued to the couch. Him
Yeah.
or Robin Williams stand up because good lord. Did you ever see his stand up?
Of course.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about with that. You need like
Yeah.
an O2 tank next to you because you got like maybe 3 seconds to catch your breath in between the stories.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh man, yeah, he was so messed. There are so many great funny men and women out there that just they don't hit the same kind of punchlines like today, like you need nowadays. Like what wouldn't give to have a sit down conversation about current events with Jon Stewart and George Carlin?
That would be fun.
Oh my god, there is not a big enough check in the world that I would write to get that kind of a sit down.
I would
And
also love to see them sit down with Daniel Tosh just because he's so like,
oh yeah.
I think the three of them, that would be the best day at Olive Garden for me. You
Oh, there
know?
you go. Plus all the breadsticks you can eat. So that's a
Exactly.
win-win. There you go. And it's a win-win.
I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like the last time I ate at Olive Garden, it like really upset my stomach. So maybe not. But yeah, no, I would love that. That'd be a great trio.
Oh my God, yeah. Just imagine them doing a sit-down show, a traveling sit-down trio show, and just have like fan participation. Hey, I got a question about this and this, and just have them just go and fly right off the cuff on whatever they're asking.
I feel like if the second an audience member said something stupid, Daniel Tosh would be like, "All right, that was a dumb idea. Fuck you." Like he would mentally slap them with his eyes and be like, "All right, moving forward."
Yeah, that would probably be the case. That probably would. So I did mention at the beginning you do work with Al Snow. How'd that come to be?
So Al Snow now does stand up, and he's so I can't even tell you enough things about Al Snow. There, there's a lot of people that start doing stand up that have no business doing it. But this motherfucker, and I could say that because he's a dear friend of mine, he just opens his mouth and everything he says is so funny. And people correlate wrestling and comedy is very similar, right? Because at the end of the day, you're telling a story. You are telling a story. And I've worked with a lot of wrestlers who do stand up, and they all talk about their time in WWE and all that other stuff. Al doesn't do much of that. He is 100% telling you stories of his life outside of wrestling. So when you are seeing an Al Snow show, you're seeing who he is as Alan, right? Like, and it's the most beautiful thing. And it is unfair how funny and also how talented he is without even doing it. Like he was like writing and producing stuff like so quickly. Like I'm not going to mention wrestlers that I've worked with that were awful at stand up, but they really rely on their character, right? Who you see on TV. Um, but just him, just oh, he was so funny. I have to get that out of the way. Like, and so if you ever go see him as a wrestling fan, it's cool to see him, right? But also, if you were just a fan of comedy, going to his show, you didn't need to know that he was in, the WWF because he like hardly touches on it. He might bring up a story or two, but it's a storytelling comedy piece, not like, yeah, so Vince McMahon, like he does it. You don't need to know anything about this man or anything about wrestling to enjoy his show. So that
Like
being
what
said,
Mick Foley used to do?
what
Kind of like Mick Foley's shows were back in the day.
they're set up differently. I worked with McFoley. He's great. Don't get me. Oh,
Oh yeah,
he's brilliant. He's funny.
I saw his
Oh,
show
he's
when I
great.
came here back in 15 or 16,
Hmm.
and he told a story about him and Al in Amsterdam, and I can bring that up after you're done explaining your part, but because it was pretty funny and it's still burnt up in the brain. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just thinking because the way Mick tells the story, it details it to where you can visualize it like if you were there first person.
Exactly. And like I mean, he's great at what he does. He's a great storyteller. But like, don't forget wrestlers that is what they're trying to do. They are trying to portray this story. And if they're in a match, they're like, we only have 5 minutes to do this. We got to get the audience to believe in what we're doing. So comedy and wrestling go hand in hand. So I think it's great. But so when Al started doing comedy, he linked with a good friend of mine, David Fox Mullen, who travels all over the country, who's also a huge avid wrestling fan. So the two of them started working together, and when their shows started to get a little bit bigger, they needed, a buffer and another comedian involved. And I've worked with Vox for, oh my goodness, 10 years now. We've done multiple like hundreds of shows together, like an unhealthy amount of shows together, and our comedy styles go really well together and things like that. So he was like, hey, I've got this opportunity for you. I just need 30 minutes out of this. You're going to feature. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I had no idea originally with my first show. on who I was working with until the poster and all the promotional stuff came out. And I was like, "What? You didn't tell me I was going to get to meet Al Snow?" And he's like, "Well, of course, I wanted it to be a surprise for you." Because I mean, I had Al Snow everything. I had my own head, that said "help me" on it. Like I had, Job Squad shirts and everything like that, And so
Oh, that's awesome.
it was super fun. And it was so funny because I actually have a joke about breaking up with somebody in the middle of WrestleMania. And the first time I met, yeah, I am a real nice lady. The first time I met Al was at a signing with the guy that's in that joke. And Al remembered this interaction because he's like, I remember exactly who you are just because the way you told this guy to shut the fuck up was the most funniest thing ever.
Oh my God, that is so awesome.
I met Al at a signing, and it was multiple wrestlers. And the guy that I broke up with, I tried giving him another chance, and I was like, "Well, I'm going to the signing thing." Long story short, he had lied to me about liking wrestling, and which is like, I'm like, "Why are you?" That's like the dumbest thing to lie about. I'm like, I would prefer you if you didn't like wrestling because then like maybe you have real hobbies. I don't know, but we were in line and Al was there and I was getting really nervous and he's like, "What's with the mannequin head?" Because Al brought head with him. And I'm like trying to tell him like the whole story of behind head and like how great it was and the crowd would go nuts. And he was just like, "I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it." And we passed my Kim. She signed and she was super sweet. And I was like trying to like tell him about her and things, and he was like, "I just don't get it." And I'm like, "You know what? Shut the fuck up." And I like, and of course, and I was the next person to sign Al, like have Al sign this for me, and he just went, "Hi, what's your name?" And I'm like, and I like literally physically had to move my ex out of the way, and I'm like, just ignore him. He was like, "I was planning on it." I'm like, "Awesome."
That's here's a little funny story. I was like 13. My brother was 14. My dad took us to go get tickets for WCW Thunder, and they were doing a meet and greet. They had Goldberg and two of the Nitro girls there. And we're in line, we're getting the autographs. And keep in mind, you remember Team Bill played for, right? When he was in
Yeah.
the NFL? Yeah. My brother, he looked and he's like, "Hey, I was a big fan of yours in the NFL. I remember when you played for the Bears." Just like that, because total brain fart. He thought the Bears instead of the Falcons. He was like, "What?" Like real loud, got all red. And, like you saw my brother like shrink down to like 2 feet tall, like, "Sorry."
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of this just to say, like when I met Al, he shook my hand and he's like, "Wait, didn't you tell somebody to shut the fuck up?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, we were like laughing about it for like the rest of the day." And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny." And he was like that he's like that is like a moment in time that like one of my favorite fan signings ever. And I'm like, "Oh, great." And now I have his phone number. It's a wild ride. But yeah, we've done a ton of shows together. Super nice. His wife Jessica comes with a lot, and she's literally she's an angel. She is an angel. She is the greatest person I think to ever walk this earth. Um, they have like such a great relationship, and she's an amazing woman. And I just, I can't say enough nice things about them. And I've worked with a ton of wrestlers before, but like he has been probably the nicest. And when it comes to interacting with his fans, he doesn't care. He will take a picture with you if we went to Waffle House, his favorite place in the world. He will take pictures with people and things like that. He never seems bothered by it. And just like an overall 10 out of 10, great dude, recommend, amazing. So if you guys see Al Snow in your area, go to the show. Um, and then support OVW. He's amazing.
What's your go-to Waffle House order?
Chicken and waffles. Is there any other ones? And then so I like to do an English muffin. They've got like you have to be careful with when you put jam on your toast because 9 times out of 10 it's expired. But sometimes if it's expired, it tastes better.
Yeah, I always go eggs, hash browns, and grits.
Yes. I went
So
to Waffle House during the Royal Rumble because it was like right in front of my hotel, and it was jam packed. And I ordered something, got not what I ordered, but I loved it, and it was a great experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that the shows are going good for you. Do you got any coming up anytime soon?
The next 10 shows that I have are all in like the Chicagoland area. So follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook. I post all my shows, but anything with Al Snow, nothing coming up yet. Working on some new stuff. So
All right, that's cool. Yeah, you get any info, by all means, feel free to share it here. I never have a problem helping share other people's information. I have been yelled at on Twitter being accused of being a retweet bot because of it.
no, I love it. I love that you do it so much that they're like, you're not a real human.
Like, no, 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 no. Listen. I'm ready for when Blade Runner becomes a reality. I'm human.
I love it.
I'm all squishy and pink on the inside. Like, this is all even real hair. Of course, if you want to feel for yourself, just $5, Venmo me.
Yeah, see, boom, OnlyFans.
See, there you go.
I told you, you'll get it.
I thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. And I say this to everyone when they come on, and I really do mean it. Thank you for taking the time to come on here. You could have been doing a million different other things. I know before we started recording, you were talking about stuff that you wore, and I do appreciate that you took the time to do this today. You got my eternal thanks, and you're always more than welcome to come back on at any time. We could talk more on wrestling, tell jokes, comedy, whatever.
No, thank you so much for having me. I think you're great. So everybody subscribe, buy his merch, subscribe to the OnlyFans channel that you're going to start. Yeah, no, I love it. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Thank you for asking for me to come on. I appreciate that.
I'm more than welcome. Any socials or anything you want to plug and get out there, share with the world, by all means, the floor is yours.
So follow me on Twitter. It is at Miss MISSALYDARSKYY, Miss Alydar Skyy. And then you guys can follow me on Snapchat, Alydar Skyy Rocks, ROCKS. And yeah, it'll be fun. I love Snapchat. I have a ton of followers. I do often like a lot of competitions and things like that to win merchandise, like exclusive merchandise. If you're a wrestling fan, like that's kind of what I do. And I do that during like the big four pay-per-view eras and things. So during SummerSlam, we'll do a follower contest, all that fun stuff.
Speaking of the big four, let me ask you real quick. Let me pick your brain. What was your take on Mania 41?
Okay. We talked about like me liking wrestling. I think the John Cena being a bad guy thing, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He's like, fuck you guys. You guys get nothing. You guys get absolutely nothing. I think people were like upset because of what's his face, that rapper, just constantly interrupting. But like
Travis Scott.
Yeah, whatever. The guy who banged Kylie Jenner, whatever her name is, the Kardashian chick. I think like people forget like that is what true heels do, and he had to take it from one extreme to another, and people just aren't used to seeing John Cena like that. To me, that was such a treat. I love John Cena as a heel. People are like he should have won as a babyface. Yeah, but like he's not doing it for you guys. He's doing it for himself. He's really challenging to see like what he's capable of doing, and he like him putting people over for all these years. Like he's just so great. I I had hurt my back prior to WrestleMania, and I was at the SmackDown when Kevin Owens said he was injured, so I was really sad.
Oh.
Yeah, I was there. I started tearing up, like just because it took me back to like Daniel Bryan. I was like, I'm never gonna see you wrestle again. But like when Joe Hendry came out, I jumped and I hurt my back again. I was so excited, and people were like, "That was a squash match." Like, no, Joe Hendry had the time of he had the time of his life. He had fun. Don't get me wrong, and like it was so fun to see a guy who's not even in the freaking company, everybody singing his theme song. Like, it was
Yeah,
great. I was at the Royal Rumble when he came out and like the place erupted. Like, even just talking about it gives me chills. Like, just seeing those big pops for these people that we don't know is great. Um, the only thing I kind of was upset about was the Tiffany and Charlotte match, and I'm going to be the first person in the world. I don't think Tiffany Stratton is good in ring. I don't think she's good in the mic, and I don't like that it is obvious. I feel like they should be protecting her a little bit more. I feel like she probably got called up to the main roster too soon, right? I don't like her, but that doesn't mean I don't respect her and what she's trying to do. I feel sad. I felt sad for her. I felt very sad for her. However, we are seeing Charlotte as a heel. I think she's doing a very good job with being that. People said that she
obviously.
was
Yeah.
people say that she was sandbagging it. I think that I don't think that was done with ill intention. I just don't think her and Tiffany have good ring um like
They don't connect.
chemistry, and I think it's very obvious. But I don't think Charlotte was ready to come back to begin with. I think she's physically ready. I think she looks great. I think she's beautiful. I just don't think she's kind of going through a lot, right? And we have to remind these people that like these people are also humans, and people could argue like, yeah, they're paid to do this though. I'm like, they're not paid like NFL players are. Like, doesn't make nearly the kind of money that she should be, right? But I think that it gave her this opportunity to help put Tiffany over, and that's what she's good at, right? She's good at making people look good. I just think that match wasn't a good showcase of her ability to do so. So that was just only sad, but it made Tiffany look really shitty in the ring, and I just feel like we need to be protecting her a little bit more and really help guiding her to like do good promos, not bot so much. Like her athleticism is great, right? But she is not good in ring, and I think that we need to, as fans, also remember that and give her a little bit grace, because people are shitting on her on the internet, and I just think like, hey, like she's just out here trying, right? And it wasn't booked great, but this is what we're got. We're just gonna have to take it, right? But the thing that made me cry so hard, and I don't know if it was happy tears or sad tears, was I'm a CM Punk girl. I'm also a Paul Heyman girl. And so like that turn that Paul Heyman did, I
Oh God,
loved it so much. I literally went, yes, and then I went, no. I was
that was
sad.
me.
Yeah. I was sad to see Punk lose. I'm
I
not
mean,
sad to see Seth win. Like I was like, all right, cool. I think it was a really good match. Um, and I love the story that was there. I ultimately want to see Punk versus Cena again, because I think they have such great rivalry, but also they were so good in ring together. But I want to see, honestly, Punk versus Seth on that kind of main stage level. I want them to have an hour-long match because they're both fantastic. Not that Roman Reigns isn't good, but I think like the all the background history with Seth and Punk, like during the Indies, I think like that is storytelling 101. I want them to truly explore that. But yeah, overall, WrestleMania, I loved it. I understand why people didn't love it, but I loved it. I'm here for it, and I'm excited for next year. I'm excited for all the big pay-per-views to come again. Yeah, this is cool, and I it's a fun time to be a wrestling fan. Um, I'm excited that we have Aleister Black back in WWE. I'm excited that Rusev Day is every single day. People were mad that that wasn't Randy's opponent, but I think like bringing
that
either.
made perfect sense to have it be Hendry because I mean, what was it? A couple of weeks before Mania, I had a sit down with Moose, and I suggested to him, how cool would it be if you had an Ultimate X at WrestleMania? And he was like, that'd be a good idea.
Mhm.
I mean,
Moose is
just
great.
imagine that.
Yeah, people were upset that it wasn't Aleister Black or Rusev. I think it was very smart not to have either one of them because it was Randy's 20th WrestleMania. He was not going to lose at WrestleMania. I think we would have had a great fucking match with him and Kevin Owens, because they're both amazing in ring. But I think like that being able to cut that match a little bit short to give, some more airtime to some of the other matches was great. Joe Henry had fun, but it would be very sad to be like, Here's Aleister Black. Here's Rusev. They're debuting and they're at WrestleMania. JK, they're going to lose. I don't think that would be good for either one of them.
Oh God, no.
Especially just because of like, oh my, I'm so excited Rusev is back in WWE. Like this is, it's like I said, right now is such a fun time to be a wrestling fan. I know that like right now that WWE just laid off a bunch of people. That didn't mean that there is not opportunities elsewhere for them. So I'm just excited to continue to see other people's stories. I'm excited to see old characters back and just to really take off. Like this, oh, it's so fun right now. It's fun. It's fun to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, this is probably hands down the greatest time in our lifetime to be a wrestling fan, because we're seeing everything go from the way we grew up seeing it in like an analog in one particular way to now being able to be sent out nationally and internationally and globally all in one single shot.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing like you can have a full-blown conversation for like an hour straight with somebody in Somalia talking about on how Rusev Day, or talking about on how Randy is better than John, or this, that, and the other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I personally, I think this year's Mania seriously underrated, and I think it's gonna go like it did like with 19. Seriously underrated, and in like 10 years time, I think people are gonna be like, you know what, this show wasn't as bad as everyone made it out to be.
Right.
You know, that's my personal opinion though. But again, thank you for taking the time to come on. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Bye.